The arrogant arrivals. Grand Warlord Zeakin stood before the massive crystalline viewport of his flagship, the Apocalypse's crown, his crimson talons clicking against the polished obsidian floor. Behind him stretched the vast expanse of his armada 200 warships of the Draconian Empire, their dark hulls glittering like shards of midnight against the starfield. His saurian eyes, glowing with otherworldly fire, fixed upon a small blue orb growing larger with each passing moment. Earth, he rumbled, the word oozing contempt. Our final conquest before claiming this entire sector. Subwarlord Kravik slithered forward, his serpentine form undulating across the command deck. The preliminary scans are complete, my lord. This world's inhabitants appear to be carbon-based bipeds with an embarrassingly primitive technological footprint. They've barely managed to scratch their planetary surface with crude metallurgy. Zeakin's jagged mandibles twisted into what passed for a smile among his kind. Excellent. I grow tired of actual challenges. Let us prepare the broadcast. I want these humans to understand exactly what awaits them. In the belly of Cheyenne Mountain, Dr. Nina Patel nearly knocked over her coffee as the readings spiked off the charts. After years of operating Project Sentinel, humanity's secret early warning system against extraterrestrial threats, something had finally triggered every alarm they possessed. Professor Brooks, she called to her supervisor, you need to see this. Professor Marcus Brooks hurried over, his weathered face pale beneath the fluorescent lights. Good God, he whispered, watching the sensor data paint a terrifying picture. 200 contacts minimum, they're making no attempt to hide. Nina's hands flew across the keyboard, activating protocols they'd hoped never to use. Quantum signatures suggest technology at least 7 centuries beyond our current level. They're arranging themselves into attack formation in high orbit. Alert the Joint Defense Council, Brooks ordered, his voice steady despite the tremor in his hands. Humanity's first diplomatic test just arrived, and they're not wearing smiles. 300 miles away, Lieutenant Commander Ryan Fletcher received the emergency summons while overseeing routine exercises at Edwards Air Force Base. Within minutes, he found himself piloting an experimental aerospace craft designed specifically for this nightmare scenario, the XV-40 Interstellar Mediator. Fletcher to Sentinel Command, he radioed as his craft pierced the stratosphere. Request confirmation of first contact protocols. Protocols confirmed, came Nina Patel's voice. Standard hailing frequencies open. Remember, Commander, we need information more than anything else right now. As Fletcher's craft approached the outermost ships of the alien fleet, the entire sky suddenly lit up with a projected image hundreds of miles wide. Grand Warlord Zeakin's reptilian visage sneered down upon the earth, his voice broadcast in flawless but threatening English. Humanity of Earth, Zeakin began, I am Grand Warlord Zeakin of the Draconian Empire. Your planet has resources we require. Your species has reached the end of its independent existence. Surrender immediately and we will grant you the honor of serving as vassals to the Empire. Resist and witness the annihilation of your pitiful civilization. Fletcher gritted his teeth. So much for peaceful first contact. The psychological warfare didn't end there. Zeakin's broadcast continued. To demonstrate the futility of resistance, observe. A brilliant beam of energy lanced from the Draconian flagship, scoring a perfect line across the moon's surface visible from Earth, a demonstration of power that shook the foundations of human confidence. But humanity had not been idle in preparing for this day. Deep beneath major cities, in classified facilities scattered across the globe, scientists and engineers had worked for decades on Project Counterclipse, a last-resort defense framework designed by reverse engineering fragments of alien technology found in various archaeological sites. Dr. Emilia Rodriguez, head of Counterclipse, watched the Draconian display from her underground command center in New Mexico. They want to intimidate us with raw power, she muttered to her team. Let's show them that Earth has a few surprises of its own. As the Draconian Fleet launched a dozen scout ships to survey Earth's defenses, Rodriguez activated the Quantum Disruption Grid, a network of hidden emitters that could interfere with alien technology based on principles humanity barely understood. The effects were immediate and dramatic. Warlord, Kravik hissed in alarm. Our scouts are experiencing system failures, navigation, weapons, even life support all compromised. Zeakin's eyes narrowed dangerously. Impossible, these primitives shouldn't have the capacity to. He was cut off as reports flooded in. Every scout ship that entered Earth's atmosphere had lost control, their advanced systems seemingly overloaded by an invisible force. 6 crashed into the Pacific Ocean, 3 more plummeted into the Sahara Desert, and the rest managed crash landings across various continents. Fletcher seized the opportunity, broadcasting on all channels. "This is Lieutenant Commander Ryan Fletcher of Earth Defense. Your scouts have been neutralized. We strongly suggest you reconsider your assumption that we are defenseless." For the first time in centuries, doubt flickered across Ziaken's features. The Draconian Empire had conquered thousands of worlds, subjugated countless species, and never encountered anything like this, a supposedly primitive world demonstrating technological capabilities that defied their extensive databases on pre-contact civilizations. In the aftermath of the crashed scouts, humanity's secret contingency plans began to unfold. Military forces secured the wreckage sites, scientific teams began reverse engineering the alien technology they found, and diplomatic channels opened worldwide to coordinate a response to the Draconian threat. Nina Patel analyzed the data streaming in from the crash sites. "Their technology is incredible," she reported to the Emergency Joint Chiefs meeting. "But there's a curious vulnerability in their systems. They seem to rely on quantum field manipulation for almost everything, which makes them susceptible to our resonance disruption fields." Professor Brooks nodded grimly. "It's as if they've never encountered a species that understood their technological principles well enough to counter them. Their arrogance might be their undoing." Meanwhile, aboard the Apocalypse's Crown, Ziaken wrestled with growing uncertainty. The pathetic primitives of Earth were proving inexplicably resilient, and he had to make a decision: proceed with the invasion and risk further humiliation, or retreat and report this anomaly to the Empire's high command. Pride won out over caution. "Prepare the second wave," he commanded. "These humans have some tricks, but nothing can withstand the full might of a Draconian armada." As the alien fleet began maneuvering for a larger-scale assault, humanity prepared its hidden arsenal, developed in secret over 3 generations. The next engagement would determine not just the fate of Earth, but potentially reshape the cosmic balance of power in ways neither species could yet imagine. The arrogant arrival of the Draconian fleet had met its first real challenge, and the mocking warlord who thought humanity beneath notice was about to learn why some worlds are better left undisturbed. The vanishing fleet. The night sky erupted in a symphony of silent explosions as the Draconian armada unleashed its second wave. From observation posts across the globe, humanity watched as massive warships descended into Earth's atmosphere, their shields glowing like falling stars. But something was wrong. The invaders' formation was already breaking apart. "My lord," Subwarlord Kravik's voice trembled with fear. "Vessel integrity is compromised across the fleet. The Bloodstrike has lost primary propulsion, the Void Talon reports weapons malfunction, and the World Ender." "My lord, the World Ender has simply vanished from our sensors." Ziaken's scales rippled with fury and confusion. "Vanished? A ship of that size doesn't just disappear." Dr. Ethan Kincaid, working furiously in his underground laboratory in Geneva, allowed himself a grim smile as he monitored the effects of humanity's secret weapon. The quantum phase disruptors were working better than anticipated. "The phase shift technology is exceeding our predictions," he reported to the Global Defense Network. "We're literally shifting their ships into alternative dimensional states." At the Chinese Strategic Command Center, Captain Mei Zhang orchestrated Earth's coordinated defense. "All units, maintain firing pattern Delta 7. The quantum fluctuations are destabilizing their shield harmonics exactly as predicted." From Hawaii to the Horn of Africa, hidden defense installations activated. Modified Tesla coils fired concentrated beams of exotic particles, creating interference patterns that turned the Draconian's sophisticated technology against itself. Ships began to blink in and out of existence, their matter oscillating between dimensions. "Impossible," Ziaken roared as another of his cruisers simply ceased to exist. "These primitives cannot possess such technology." But humanity had spent decades preparing for this moment. Every crashed UFO, every strange artifact recovered from ancient sites, every piece of exotic technology had been meticulously studied and reverse-engineered into Earth's ultimate defense. Lieutenant Commander Fletcher, now coordinating aerial defense forces, watched in awe as massive Draconian battleships simply faded from reality. "Command, this is Fletcher. Multiple hostiles are phase shifting. Repeat, the enemy fleet is literally disappearing. Dr. Sofia Mendez, head of the Temporal Studies Division, observed the phenomenon from her station in Chile. The dimensional barriers are thinning around the Draconian vessels. Their own technology is creating resonance feedback when exposed to our phase disruptors. What the Draconians didn't know, what no invading species had ever discovered, was that Earth itself was far more than it appeared. The planet's magnetic field, its position in space, and the very composition of its crust had been subtly modified by ancient visitors eons ago, turning it into a natural defense system waiting to be activated. Subwarlord Kravik's panicked reports grew more frantic. Warlord, we've lost contact with 40% of the fleet. The remaining ships report critical system failures across all platforms. Even basic propulsion is becoming unreliable. Ziakin's command center erupted in chaos as display screens flickered and died. Navigation charts dissolved into static, weapon systems locked into endless diagnostic loops, and life support systems began cycling randomly. Activate emergency protocols, Ziakin commanded. All ships emergency ascent, abandon the invasion and... His orders came too late. The apocalypse's crown itself began to shimmer and distort. Crew members watched in horror as sections of the ship phased out of existence, leaving gaping voids where corridors and chambers had been moments before. In a secure bunker beneath the Swiss Alps, General Heinrich Weber of the European Defense Force stared at the tactical displays in disbelief. They're all vanishing, an entire invasion fleet just gone. Captain Zhang confirmed from Beijing. Satellite tracking shows 0 Draconian vessels remaining in normal space. The quantum signature trails suggest they've been scattered across. I don't even know how to describe it. Fractured dimensions, parallel timelines. As dawn broke over the Pacific, Lieutenant Colonel David Martinez surveyed the empty skis from his command post in Hawaii. Central Command, this is Pacific Defense. The skis are clear. I repeat, the skis are clear. But the celebration in human command centers was tempered by uncertainty. Where had the Draconian fleet gone? Were they truly defeated or merely displaced to somewhere beyond human perception? Dr. Nina Patel analyzed the residual quantum signatures. They're not destroyed in the conventional sense. The phase disruptors have scattered them across dimensional boundaries. Some might eventually return to normal space, but without any control over when or where. In the twisted space between dimensions, fragments of the Draconian fleet drifted helplessly. Ziakin, his consciousness stretched across multiple realities, experienced the horror of existing in several places simultaneously. His last coherent thought before dissolving into quantum uncertainty was one of profound regret, not for his crimes, but for his underestimation of humanity. The morning news broadcasts around the world struggled to explain what had happened. World leaders appeared on television, talking vaguely about an atmospheric phenomenon that had affected experimental aircraft. But in secret facilities across the globe, humanity's defenders knew the truth. Dr. Kincaid addressed the Emergency Joint Scientific Council via secure video link. The phase disruptor technology exceeded our wildest expectations, but we need to understand why. There's something about Earth itself that amplified the effect far beyond our calculations. Professor Marcus Brooks nodded thoughtfully. Perhaps those ancient visitors who left us technological breadcrumbs also left us something else, a planetary defense mechanism we've only just activated. As salvage teams combed the crash sites of Draconian scouts that hadn't vanished, humanity began to piece together the true scale of what had occurred. They had not merely repelled an invasion, they had fundamentally altered the cosmic power structure. The Draconian Empire, which had terrorized civilizations across the galaxy, had lost its most powerful battle fleet to a supposedly primitive world. The message would ripple across the cosmos. Earth was not to be trifled with. But questions remained. Why had Earth's defense systems worked so spectacularly? What other secrets lay dormant in humanity's past? And most troublingly, if the Draconians could eventually find their way back from wherever they had been scattered, would humanity be ready? As the sun set on that extraordinary day, defense teams across the planet began preparing for whatever might come next. The vanishing of the Draconian fleet was not an ending, but a beginning. Humanity had announced its presence on the galactic stage in the most dramatic way possible, and the universe would never look at Earth the same way again. The Hidden Truths. Professor Rachel Navarro stood in the ancient chamber beneath Easter Island, her headlamp illuminating hieroglyphs that shouldn't exist. The quantum resonance patterns embedded in the stone walls matched exactly those generated during the Draconian Fleet's disappearance. This was no coincidence. "Command, I need a full archaeological team down here immediately," she radioed to the surface. "These inscriptions, they're not just warnings, they're operating instructions." 3 months had passed since the Draconian Armada had vanished into dimensional fragments. The world had changed irrevocably, though most of humanity remained unaware of the cosmic battle they'd won. But for those with security clearance, the search for answers had become an obsession. Commander Diego Ramirez, newly appointed head of Earth's Cosmic Defense Initiative, joined Navarro in the subterranean complex. "Tell me you found something concrete," he said, studying the glowing symbols. "The UN Security Council is getting nervous. We have reports of Draconian Empire probes searching for their lost fleet. They're going to figure out what happened eventually." Navarro traced her fingers along the ancient markings. "This entire chamber is a record and a key. These aren't primitive drawings, Diego, they're quantum circuit diagrams. Someone thousands of years ago embedded a defense system into the very fabric of our planet." As her team decoded more of the hieroglyphs, the truth emerged. Earth hadn't been chosen as humanity's home by accident. The planet itself was engineered, modified by an impossibly advanced civilization they called the Architects. These beings had seeded defensive capabilities into Earth's crust, atmosphere, and magnetic field, a sleeping giant waiting for the right trigger. Dr. Kincaid joined them via encrypted video link from his lab in Geneva. "It makes perfect sense now. The phase disruptors didn't just work well, they resonated with pre-existing structures in Earth's quantum substrate. We didn't create a defense system, we activated one that was already here." The implications were staggering. Humanity wasn't merely lucky or surprisingly advanced. They were living on a fortress world, protected by technology so sophisticated it bordered on magic. In deep space, the remnants of the Draconian Empire grew desperate. Without their invasion fleet, their hold over conquered worlds began to crumble. Rebellions erupted across their territories as word spread that the unstoppable Draconian Armada had been defeated by a supposedly primitive species. Ambassador Elizabeth Carver, Earth's newly appointed representative to the Galactic Forum, a body humanity had only just learned existed, reported disturbing developments. "The power vacuum left by the Draconian Empire's collapse is creating chaos. Other species are looking at Earth with a mixture of fear and awe. Some want to ally with us, others want to destroy us before we become a threat." Commander Ramirez convened an emergency meeting of the Global Defense Council. "We're not just dealing with the aftermath of one invasion anymore. We're facing a complete shift in the cosmic order. Earth has been revealed as something far more significant than anyone imagined." Deep beneath the Himalayas, Navarro's team made another breakthrough. They found a control interface dormant for millennia that could access the planet's hidden systems. With trembling hands, she activated it. A holographic projection filled the chamber, a being of pure light that introduced itself as a recorded message from the Architects. "If you are hearing this," the luminous figure intoned, "then you have proven yourselves worthy inheritors of Earth's guardianship. We seeded your world with defensive capabilities beyond your current understanding. The Draconian Fleet was merely the first test." The message continued, revealing Earth's true purpose, a failsafe against aggressive species that might threaten the cosmic balance. The planet was designed to automatically counter any civilization that attempted conquest through force, scattering them across dimensions as a warning to others. As news of this discovery spread through the classified channels, humanity faced a profound realization. They weren't just another species fighting for survival. They were the designated guardians of something far greater. On the outer edges of the solar system, quantum sensors detected ripples in space-time. The scattered remnants of the Draconian Fleet were trying to reassemble, to bridge the dimensional gaps that separated them. But they returned to a galaxy transformed by their absence. The Draconian Empire had collapsed. Former slave species now flew their own flags. Trading routes that had been monopolized for centuries opened to free commerce. And at the center of it all stood Earth, no longer seen as a primitive backwater but as a sleeping giant that had awakened. Commander Ramirez addressed the United Nations in a closed session. "We have inherited more than a planet. We've inherited a responsibility. Earth's defensive systems make us uniquely positioned to maintain peace in our sector of the galaxy. The question is, are we ready for that responsibility?" The debate raged for weeks. Some argued for isolation, others for active intervention. In the end, humanity chose a middle path, cautious engagement with other species while developing their understanding of the architect technology. Professor Navarro established the Architect Research Initiative, dedicated to understanding and responsibly using Earth's hidden capabilities. "We're not just studying ancient technology," she explained to her growing team of scientists. "We're learning to be worthy of the trust placed in us by beings we may never fully understand." As the years passed, Earth emerged as a neutral ground for diplomatic negotiations, its reputation for fairness backed by the implicit threat of its defensive capabilities. The planet that had once seemed so vulnerable had become the cornerstone of a new cosmic order. But challenges remained. Fragments of the Draconian Fleet occasionally reappeared, twisted by their dimensional exile. Other aggressive species probed Earth's defenses, seeking weaknesses, and always there was the question of what other secrets the architects had left behind. In his office overlooking the Pacific, Commander Ramirez studied reports of suspected architect sites on other worlds. "They didn't just modify Earth," he mused to his aide. "This was part of something bigger. We're just beginning to understand our place in it all." The truth was humbling and exhilarating. Humanity hadn't defeated the Draconian Fleet through their own ingenuity alone. They had been chosen, prepared, and tested by beings of incomprehensible wisdom. Now they faced the greatest challenge of all, living up to that legacy. As the sun set on another day of Earth's new era, children played in parks unaware of the cosmic forces their planet commanded. But in hidden facilities around the world, humanity's guardians stood watch, ready for whatever the universe might bring their way. The Draconian Fleet had mocked humanity and vanished without a trace. In doing so, they had revealed Earth's true nature and humanity's destined role among the stars. The age of human isolation was over. The age of guardianship had begun.